Very good morning. It is Wednesday, the 22nd of May 2019. Let me just make a massive apology to everyone who is sick and tired of seeing the same old thumbnails of my ugly mug doing some silly face or looking at the sky or looking at a tree. You know, it's very difficult to make a thumbnail, you know, when I'm walking to work. So, sorry. Anyway, let me get a couple of things off my chest first before diving deep into this annoying video this morning. First things first, on the list of things to say. If you are a snowflake, I don't care. If you are easily offended, I don't care. Yesterday, I made a point of saying that someone on BBC News looks like Gollum. He did. Someone got offended. Cuckoo, good morning. How are you? I'm very well, thank you. Nice to meet you. Yes, I don't care if you're easily offended. The guy genuinely looked like Gollum. You know, when I see something that looks like something, I'm going to say something that looks like something. Yeah? If I see a turd on the floor that looks like Boris Johnson, I'm going to say that turd looks like Johnson. That doesn't make me a bully. That makes me observant. That's what it does. So to all you snowflakes out there that don't like what I say, please unsubscribe to my channel and leave. This is Chris's Real Talk, and I'll say as I please, because I am not a nasty person and I am not a bully. In fact, if you're that bothered by what I say, flag me up and report me. Please do. Please. I welcome the challenge. Anyway, I don't do offence either. Yeah, it just drives me mad. We live in a society where everyone gets so offended by everything that no one actually knows what it's actually like to be genuinely offended by anything. Does that make sense? Ross McGarry, hello. You know what I mean? It's like before, it would take a lot to offend someone. Now it's a case of, that man's eating beef, I'm so offended. Really? Oh yeah, I turned vegan like 2 hours ago, and I'm so offended that in fact you're eating beef now. And I'm so incredibly vegan. That's great. You know, I'm glad that you've made a really good healthy life choice by becoming vegan. But the fact that I choose to consume a dead animal is absolutely bugger all to do with you, and you're offended by it. Right, let me just get across this road. You know, it gets on my nerves. And as for you, Mr. 2 hours young vegan, as for you, what about those poor vegetables that you dig out the ground against their will? You know, it's scientifically proven that plants actually feel pain. Did you know that? Did you know that just as they're being ripped out the ground, or just as a tree is being chopped down, they release an enzyme because they know it's happening? Did you know that? Honestly, just words, not a car crash. Yeah, I know, but the thing is, people get too offended, and I'm offended by people getting so offended. Everyone's all too PC nowadays. A right pack of losers they are. Yeah, there you go. Anyway, let me get on with the crux of this video this morning, while we're all still young. I was watching the news, as I often do, flicking between Sky and BBC. Instead we get hate speech laws. Yeah. That's another video for another day, believe me. So I'm flicking through the channels, and it turns out that Theresa May, our Prime Minister, the woman in charge, the woman who's supposed to guide this nation out of the European Union, the woman who's been given the task of running this country smoothly, has become a dirty sellout. Yes, she has. Theresa May has become an absolutely filthy, rotten, disgusting, dirty sellout. In fact, it wouldn't surprise me, and this hasn't happened, so don't get offended, but it wouldn't surprise me if Theresa May sends Jeremy Corbyn a letter, in the letter saying, "Dear Mr. Corbyn, I want to make this a strong and stable Britain. I want to leave the European Union, which is the democratic will of the people. And in doing so, I'm going to need the support of Labour. Please, if you support my Brexit bill, I'll send you nudes." She might as well be doing that, because what she's actually saying now, all right, is in order to get her absolutely ridiculous Brexit treaty, which is what it is, it's not a deal, in order to get it through Parliament, okay, she's now saying, if you back my bill, if you back it, I'll give everyone a second referendum. You see the treachery that goes on in Parliament, the absolute treachery. Now, I couldn't say how it'd go either way. If this was 6 months ago, I'd be able to say, yes, I know exactly how this vote is going to go, you know, easy. But no, not anymore. I'm of the firm belief that it's 50-50 now, straight down the middle. You give the public a second vote on a second referendum, I'm telling you, you'll either have people that will be more annoyed at the fact that we haven't left, and they're just pissed off with it and they'll vote to leave when they vote to remain before, or you'll have people that are so disillusioned by the whole democracy process in this country, by the whole voting system, you know, the fact that nothing ever gets delivered on, that they'll vote to leave instead of voting, they'll vote to stay, sorry, instead of voting to leave. So there's that. And then you'll have people that'll be like, oh, you know what, you didn't listen to what I voted to the first time. You know, what's the point? I'm not going to vote at all. Okay? So those are the three main options. The other option, which I think that Remainers are banking on if there is a second referendum, are the amount of young people that weren't old enough to vote before, which, to be fair, young people are as thick as two short planks a majority of the time, that don't actually know their elbows from their arseholes. And what will happen is, because a lot of young people are Corbynistas, they think that Jeremy Corbyn is the great messiah. They will vote for Jeremy Corbyn's shit in the toilet over any kind of anything decent. Bearing in mind, Jeremy Corbyn is actually the Antichrist, you see, but all these young people will go vote in Labour because they think it's the right and just thing to do, because it's so cool to be left-wing. Bearing in mind, left-wing politics, I've learnt over years of voting left-wing politics is absolute bollocks. Yes, it is. I voted Labour my whole life until about 7 years ago, roughly. And then I changed it to UKIP, and now I can't even vote for UKIP. I can't even vote for them, because UKIP has a leader who, as far as I'm concerned, is worse than Jeremy Corbyn. Doesn't matter whether or not I think the policies of said party are good, I will never vote UKIP again. In fact, I'm going to say the one thing people are expecting me to say. You see, because I am a fan of the Farage, I'm going to be voting Brexit Party. Yep. Until the day that man dies, I'm going to vote for Nigel Farage. Before anyone starts saying, that man's a racist! You can't vote for Nigel! He's a bad man! No, he's not. not racist at all. He's probably the only person that's capable of leading this country. I'm not going to say guy, I'm going to say leading this country into greatness. You see, a brand new party has formed here, and yes, he may not have a manifesto yet, or many policies yet, but it is by far, says polls, one of the most successful grassroots parties of all time. And why is that? I'll tell you exactly why that is. Because the general public who support Brexit Party, myself being one of them, are so hacked off by general politics, by the Conservatories, by Labour, by the lies of the Liberal Democrats, by the BS that every other party spills out of their freaking backsides. We're so hacked off with it because we're lied to every step of the way that we need something different in British politics, and that is what Brexit Party is. It's different because it's completely transparent. That's what they're saying. They are completely transparent. Everything they spend their money on, everything they do and say is going to be readily available as and when people wish to see it. So think about that for a second. Just think back to the expenses scandal of 2009, you know, where there were MPs fiddling their expenses, claiming money back on paper clips and all this bollocks. You see, that they could quite easily have bought themselves. Just imagine if everything was open and transparent, where you know where your money goes, where your taxes are going. Just imagine if you knew exactly where it was going, and they admitted to everything, and they said, look, we're going to be taking a portion of public money, we're going to be spending it on, say, resurfacing the M25. Now, instead of saying, well, we're going to resurface this road, but we're not going to tell you where the money's coming from, we're going to have to do a little bit of ducking and diving, a bit of dodging and weaving. No, they're going to say, look, this is where the money's coming from. You know, there it is. Let's read this. Oh wow. Cuckoo. I can't be asked for Brexit anymore, becoming a master's degree in itself to understand. Yep, kind of have to agree with that. My only stance on Brexit is no second referendum. Yes, amen to that, Cuckoo. Cuckoo, kachoo. No, honestly, I think a second referendum would be the worst thing, because it just laughs in the face of democracy. And there are those out there that will say, yes, but democracy is having the ability to change your mind. That may well be the case, but that also then flies and shits in the face of everyone that had a democratic vote and won in the first place. So what will happen? What will happen if there is a second referendum and then, let's just say 51% of the population vote to stay? What happens then? You see, that would mean that you won to stay by an even smaller margin than what we voted to leave. Does that make it 1-1? Does it make it 1-1? Does that mean that there's going to have to be a third one? Best 2 out of 3? Let's get our referendum on. Is that what's going to happen? That's what's exactly going to happen. Do you know what? I'm not a betting man. I'm not a betting man, but I'm going to say if I go down to the bookmakers and I put some money down on the third referendum, I'm going to be a rich man. That's the sort of thing I see happening. That's the sort of bollocks I see happening. Going through the entire run up to it, waste of time. Yes, it was. Do you know what? It's almost like you're in my head. Knew you'd say that. Yep. I sort of trust the Brexit Party at the moment to deliver Brexit. You know what? Have a look. Have a look. In fact, there's a bloke that I drive past every day in one of these scatty looking butchers that happen to sell mobile phones. We know the ones. And as we drive past them, he goes, have a look, have a look, have a look. Have a look at the Brexit Party, honestly. It's the only party, realistically, with any kind of change and difference. Honestly. And to be fair, even if I had voted to remain within the European Union, and I was on the fence, even if I'd voted to remain and the Leavers won, you know, I wouldn't be bitching about let's leave. I'd be a case of, well, good show, you know, leave one, let's get on with it. But no, what we've actually had was the whole time of Theresa May trying to get a deal through. In fact, to be fair, she never actually tried at first to get a deal through. She spent a majority of her time making shit speeches about strong and stable Britain. You know, how the Conservatives are the party to lead us through the dark times ahead. Really? Do you reckon, Theresa May? I reckon I would make a better Prime Minister than you. I wholeheartedly reckon that. I'm not the most educated man, but I know dumb when I see dumb, and you dumb. You know, it's just, I know it's a difficult job. I know there's a lot involved. I know the finances involved with it are just absolutely astronomical, you know. But you give me everything this country spends out on a sheet of paper, and I'll find exactly where we can save it from, starting with wages from half of the MPs that are there. Honestly, the amount of money they actually get for the job they actually do, please, I'd quite happily do that job for half the amount of money while living in my council flat. I would, you see, as a public servant, which is what they are. Oh, a message was deleted. Why? You see, so yeah, I reckon I could save us some money in this country. And it would start by not giving the European Union £39 billion. Bitch, please. Divorce bill, we weren't even married. Honestly. European Union, it was a European trade union set up after World War II so that countries of the European Union would be impossible to go to war with each other, and also having a good free trade agreement is what it is. Is this exactly what it is? You see, and as we're not going to war at all with anyone in the EU, you see, there's no actual real reason to stay there. Not really. I mean, if the European Union wasn't so much of a dick all the time, we could actually have free trade anyway. But the EU wants free movement of people. Now, don't get me wrong, I voted for Brexit, but I don't care for free movement of people. I never voted against immigration. I actually think immigration's a good thing. It's good for the economy, it's good for jobs. I didn't much care for free movement being a thing. You see, I just don't like being told what to do by people that have fuck all to do with me. You see, I don't like the fact that the amount of tax I pay is told to me by people that have fuck all to do with me. You see, that's the sort of thing that gets on my wick so bad. That's one of the reasons why I voted to leave. You see? So the European Union wants free movement of people, and then what happens is over here we're like, no, you can't have that, is what happened there. Okay, and half the problem, half this issue we have with solving the Brexit problem is we want free trade, they want free movement of people. So you can see where the standoff's coming. The solution to said problem is allow everyone that is over here already to stay. Allow them to apply for free for British citizenship. Absolutely not a problem. I love that idea, you see. And then everyone who wishes to come across, everyone, shouldn't just be allowed to come over. You must fill out a certain amount of criteria if you wish to live and work. Okay? The first of which is be able to speak clear and concise English and have a decent but basic level of education. Okay? Also, if you wish to live and work, you must have a certain set of skills, a certain set of skills that would benefit working in the job that you are applying to work for and live in this country for. It's much like the Australian points-based system, you see. And the thing is, that doesn't discriminate against everybody because it's fair to everybody. You've got redneck on you. I got some redneck on me. With your appearance and the way the camera is pointing, it reminds me of the scene in Shaun of the Dead where he walks to the store. This is awesome. Yeah, I'm just going to the shop. What do you want? I want a cornetto. Do you want a cornetto? Yeah, not a problem. Walks to the store like that, you know. Goes in, everyone's like walking around a bit of a zombie, gets the cornetto out the fridge, goes to pay for it, leaves money on the side. It's like, I love that movie. No, Sean, I'm sorry. Sorry, you're making valid points about Brexit, and I'm yapping about a movie. No, that's cool. That's what we do it. That's why we do it. It's real talk. You say what you like. That's perfectly fine. But yeah, today I got my redneck on. You know, so that's my best friend's Lightning McQueen. Just gave you context. I'm born and raised in California. That's cool. That's good. Do you know, I've actually got quite a few Americans that subscribe to my channel. In fact, I've got family in the States, and I've got quite a few friends in the States as well, all across the United States. You know, so that's kind of cool. I love it. I love the fact that this channel is becoming a bit of an international community of people that like to converse with each other. I love that. Absolutely love that. You see, I mean, with Brexit, the Brexit thing's getting on my nerves a bit. I mean, I voted to leave because I want my independence. You see, just imagine if the state you lived in, California was it, yeah? Just imagine if the state you lived in was 100% self-sufficient and didn't rely on the rest of the United States to back it, to fund it, to support it, and it could do its own thing financially, yeah? Then imagine if the state you lived in voted overwhelmingly to become an independent nation instead of one of the great states of the United States. Just imagine that. And then just imagine how easy it would be to say, yeah, that's it, independence is yours. And then to be having everyone else tell you, no, you can't do that. Us rednecks want you to stay part of the United States. That sort of shit, you know what I mean? So it's just, that's not legal, you know? It's coming right for us. It's a few minutes before 11 p.m. where I'm at. Now, you know what, the time difference is incredible. It's like time travel is what it is. You know, YouTube and talking over the interwebs, it's great. Oh, bro, California is so fucked. Why is California fucked? I tell you what, lad, you want to speak like that? California is absolutely fucked. You know what I mean? Like, $70 billion spent on a bullet train in the highest seismological area in the nation. Yeah. You know what? I love the sarcasm of that. I love it. I love the sarcasm of that. However, when it comes to bullet trains going across geographically active areas, by which I mean prone to quakes, earthquakes, not earthquacks, like you know, some politicians. You see, there is actually a way of doing this. It's called don't do it because it's stupid. Construction is at 10%. They don't even have the property to compete. Wow. Do you know what I think would be a much better idea? Instead of laying down track, okay, this is what I think would be an amazing idea. The Simpsons had that down on lock years ago. You ready for it? Monorail. The monorail. That way, if you had a high-speed monorail, the rail that has mono, the monorail, okay, And you could literally have the track with a single rail that is flexible. You see? Up on the struts like that, you see? And then the tracks between struts could be flexible. You see? And you could actually have it in such a way that they extend in and out of each other from the struts. You see? Thus making it fucking quake proof. And I'm not an educated man. Think about that. In fact, say that you could have a maglev monorail. That's even better, because then it doesn't actually touch anything. The tracks could still flex and bend and stretch and all this, and you can still get a relatively high speed on it because it's maglev and uses less material. And I'm not an educated guy. Come on, America, you're supposed to be the best of everything. Yeah, no, we're not the best of everything. But I caught a Bigfoot once. No, that was just my daddy. You know, it's just, oh, that's why you get the Chinese to do it. But the USA knows the automobile. Nah. There we go. The Chinese promised to cover 50% of the cost to build it, but then they backed out when they scrapped but their bullet trains due to accidents and derailments. Again, if you had monorails or maglev, you don't get derailments. Think about that, because it actually wraps on around the track like that. You don't get it, just doesn't happen. Oh, no. It just drives me mad. So yeah, so our Prime Minister, the leader of our country, is a dirty sellout. She's a dirty sellout is what she is. Theresa May, if you ever get a chance to see this video, please feel free to like, share and subscribe, because you are a dirty sellout, offering a second referendum to get your shit deal across the table, just so that we leave the European Union on your terms. Oh, and by the way, people, just to clear this up, if we leave the European Union on Theresa May's deal, we are still going to be bound by the Lisbon Treaty. And for those of you who don't know what the Lisbon Treaty is, do a Google search and find the pros and cons of said deal. The Lisbon Treaty is there designed specifically to take away the independence, the currency and laws of a nation and give all of that to the European Union. Is that what you want for this country? Do you want to lose your NHS? Do you want to lose 200,000 plus jobs because businesses can't afford to pay them anymore, because we'll be part of a currency which is, how can I put this, at the moment, poorer than Jamie Oliver? Honestly, did you really want our nation to be sunk and to be absolutely laughed at and ridiculed because we couldn't come up with a decent deal to leave a bunch of bullies, which is what the European Union is? Really? The cost would then skyrocket for monorail, maglev. It would be looking at $1,000 a train ticket to drive a distance you'd normally use 20 to drive your car. Yes, this may be true, but however, maglev uses electricity instead of diesel. Electricity at certain points of the rail could have either solar, wind or hydroelectric generators depending on the location. So the whole thing realistically could be self-sufficient. Yes, it could. Yes, it could. There's ways and means. The whole thing could be self-sufficient and relatively inexpensive, you know. And to be fair, the Chinese were probably dropped out because half of the rail was, you know, more than likely made by Huawei and running on Android. So they can't even use the software to do it anyway. Ha! Yeah, California is West Coast. Yeah, I know. Yeah. You know, yeah, I know that. I know that. But and a pigeon just flew right above my head. Thanks for that. But there we go. Yeah, so yeah, Theresa May's a dirty sellout. She's a dirty sellout. She, like I said before, she may as well send Jeremy Corbyn nude photos of herself, because at least then she'd get in the press for something other than Brexit. You know, don't get me started on electricity. Our mains electric caused thousands of deaths due to faulty equipment, sued massively to the point of bankruptcy, went bankrupt, and now doubled the rates. Oh, damn. That's not good. That's not good. I love the way your name on here is the CIA. I would actually love it if you were actually the legit CIA. That would be great. Richard Hodgson. That's really actually difficult to say when I have a slight lisp. They need to sort out the steel industry. Yeah, 25,000 jobs on the line. So yeah, this is one thing that gets my goat up. It really does. It's the steel industry in this country should be backed by government. And the reason why they're losing money is because it's actually cheaper to get steel from everywhere else other than in our own country. Which makes no sense. It's industries like that should be backed by government. And then government take a small percentage of profit back. A small percentage. You see, things like that should be government run. None of these ridiculous private companies, you know, that play off against each other, that offer you the world and give you nothing back. You know, if everything was government run, there'd be a fixed price, albeit might be a slightly higher price, but it will be a fixed price. It could even be a lower price, you see. And the fire wiped out. You have my condolences over there, big time. But if I'm joining, hit that subscribe button, drop a comment down below, give me a thumbs up. You know, all the good stuff. Turn on notifications, and more importantly, share at least one video with your friends. You know, say, look, I've got this guy on YouTube. He sounds like he knows what he's talking about, but he's actually thick as a plank, and you know, doesn't really know a clue, but he's entertaining to watch. You know, just share the love, get the videos around. I've got to try and get my wiggle on. I need to get to work. And everyone have a wonderful day.